That would be great.
Okay, it's preparing to live stream.
I'm trying to get Cam in here.
Okay, guys are live on YouTube.
Okay. Welcome to the November 2nd meeting of the Lafayette City Council. The record should reflect that all council members are present except for Councilmember Burke, who I
You
think
just have
is
to let him in.
trying to
Oh,
log
let me
in.
let, I
So
can let him in.
he should be coming in shortly. And with Councilmember Burke's presence, he's coming in. That takes us to adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda from council members? Okay, do I have a motion to adopt?
Move we adopt the agenda?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I'll call a quick vote. Councilmember Burke, welcome, and your vote for
Thanks.
adoption of the agenda.
Aye. Aye.
Councilmember Bliss,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Candell,
Aye.
Councilmember Geringer.
Aye.
And I'm a yes, so we will move ahead with the meeting as agendized. Our first item will be public comments on the items scheduled for closed session only. And the way this works is that anyone from the public can speak up to 3 minutes. You can also have up to 3 minutes ceded to you from another person who is present in the meeting. So you get a total of 6 minutes in that case, but there's no one speaking longer than 6 minutes about any of the items that are on the closed session agenda. So with that, let's open up the public comment section. Do we have
Okay, yes,
any
there are
interest in speaking?
several speakers, Mr. Mayor. So the first speaker is going to be Ben Douglas, followed by George Cleaver. So I am promoting Mr. Douglas. Should be here shortly.
Okay.
There we go. So if you want to unmute yourself, Mr. Douglas.
Yes, thank you. I'm trying to, oh, I see. Now I can start the video. Let's see if that works.
There
Great.
you go.
All right.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, I'm would like to comment on item 5B, the Vesey v. City of Lafayette litigation. I have significant background on this. I'm a neighbor of the property that's involved in the dispute. Had previous discussions going back about 3 years with Mr. Vesey trying to resolve this matter. Just a few points I want to emphasize. The first is people who live on Glen Road and on Happy Valley Road, which are the neighborhoods connected by this disputed pathway, are all very concerned that nothing be resolved with any prejudice tonight. My understanding is that it will not. It's simply a discussion item because we have quite a lot to say and we intend to intervene legally if necessary. So I would ask that if that understanding is correct, please let the commenters know that. So that's point number one. Point number two, and this has been reflected in some of the letters. A lot of us, just so you know, there were many people submitted comments for this item as it was a public item for last week's meeting, and those were not carried over. So you see very few comments for tonight, but that does not reflect a lack of interest. I believe there were two dozen comments submitted, and I guess they'll be renewed for next week's meeting. This is a combination of, it's number one, a safety issue, having access to and from Glen Road, which as I assume you all know, you can see on the map, is a basically gigantic cul-de-sac. Having additional point of ingress and egress is very important, both for cutting down on traffic. People use it as a pedestrian access point to get to downtown. Children use it to get to school. Contrary to what Mr. Vesey said in his letter to you, children have continued to use that. You know, I'm not quite sure why he says he hasn't seen children using it, because there are many people who've used it over the years, and including during the last year up until obviously the school shut down. And another point is that if they weren't on legal notice of the the restrictions on this property, that is a matter of dispute between them and the previous owners of the property and their real estate agent. And as I told Mr. Vesey, he's welcome to pursue legal remedies against them, but that should not deprive the neighborhood and the city of the rights to passage over this area. And furthermore, if they weren't on legal easement, they were on legal notice, they were on constructive notice because this pathway is very clearly visible from their property. So they had an opportunity to see it when they were looking at the property and considering whether to buy it. I see my time is expiring, so I will leave it for now. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Douglas. Any questions for the speaker? Okay, thank you, Mr. Douglas. We appreciate your time. And as Mr. Douglas pointed out, let me just quickly explain what we're doing tonight. Since we had to cancel the last council meeting when this was scheduled for an actual open session, we have put it on our closed session agenda, which will be an opportunity for the council to meet in a closed session. But public is allowed to make comments on items that are on our closed session agenda before we go into closed session. And then we're anticipating this will come back at our next regular meeting next week, November 9th, where we will have a normal open session on this item, where the public once again will have an opportunity to comment. And of course, you'll hear and see the discussion of the council, their deliberation and decision on the matter if there's one made at that meeting. So once again, this is a public comment on items that are on the closed session. They will not be discussed openly tonight by the council, but we will be considering it in closed session following this comment period. So next public comment on closed session items.
So the next public comment we have is George Cleaver. So here comes Mr. Cleaver. He'd be followed by Brian Winter. So Mr. Cleaver, there you go. If you could, perfect.
Oh, hi, it's George Clever. I live at 1129 Glen, and I submitted a letter, which hopefully you've all had a chance to read, so I won't rehash all that. But, I do think that in 2000, when the subdivision was granted to the prior owner, the Planning Commission did the right thing and tried to ensure that that pathway would stay open in perpetuity for all the people that have used it over the years and continue to use it. Our family's main concern is what Mr. Douglas referred to, the fire safety and having a second exit out of the neighborhood. But I do think, there are a lot of families have used it over the years. And, it's unfortunate that the Veseys had some bad experiences with a couple of the neighbors, because that's not representative of how the most of the neighbors in this area behave. One thing, the main reason I came on tonight was I wanted to suggest one thing. When you buy a piece of real estate, you get title insurance, and the title company is responsible for, if anything comes up that you weren't aware of after you buy the property, the title company is responsible for making that right. And an unrecorded easement, which is probably how the title company looks at this, is something that they are liable for here. And so, I don't know this, but I have a feeling that they're the ones behind these lawsuits that the Veseys have filed to, extinguish the easement rights that exist. And so I just, I think, it's, obviously the Veseys are impacted by this, but I think that, as has been alluded to in other letters and by Mr. Douglas, it's a, more of a private matter between them and the title insurance company and the seller of the property. And, I hope that the council will do the right thing and stand up for the rights of the neighbors here and for what was intended by the Planning Commission when they granted the subdivision back in 2000. So thank you. And I'll probably see you again when this is on open session.
Okay, Mr. Clever, thank you very much for your comments. Any questions for the speaker? Mr. Clever, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Next public comment.
Brian Winter.
Good evening, Mayor Anderson and members of the City Council. Brian Winter from Miller Star Regalia on behalf of O'Brien Land Company. I'm here yet again to speak to an issue that we've covered perhaps at this point a dozen times or more with respect to the ongoing participation and bias of Vice Mayor Susan Kandel. We've addressed these issues in great detail. We have since discovered through our review of the city's minutes on September 14th of 2015, according to former council member Don Tatson, Ms. Kandel wrote a letter to the city around that time indicating that she had joined Save Lafayette, became a member of Save Lafayette. We're filing a Public Records Act request to obtain documents related to that membership and that communication. But it underscores the point we've made repeatedly about the bias that she has exhibited with respect to this project for years, an unconstitutional bias that prohibits her lawful participation in connection with this project. It is of ongoing importance, given that you have closed sessions related to the litigation filed by the same organization the Vice Mayor Kandel joined. And there can be no safe conversation your attorneys can have with you in closed session discussing the project, given her ongoing opposition, and in fact, prior leaks of closed session information to the Fair Political Practices Commission in non-confidential settings. I would encourage you not to have any closed sessions involving Vice Mayor Kandel, and I continue to believe and maintain that the city itself has a duty to deal with the bias of a council member who undermines the city's legal interests as well as those of my client. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Winter. Any questions for the speaker? Mr. Winter, thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you.
Next public comment.
Okay, your next public comment is from Peter Clark. Okay, Mr. Clark can proceed. Mr. Clark, are you there? We can see that you're in the meeting. I don't see that you're muted. You're muted. Do you want to unmute yourself? So I'm asking him to unmute.
There we go.
There he goes.
Start video.
Welcome, Mr. Clark.
Yes. Oh, okay. There I am.
There you are.
Yeah.
You're here.
Okay, council members. Glad to speak to you tonight. I just want to answer. I sent a couple of things in. I wanted to answer any questions you had about it, and also make 2 points. The first point is I'm pretty sure exists a prescriptive easement for the public to go through from Glen Road to Happy Valley Road. And the second thing I'm pretty sure of is that this is a significant safety factor for our neighborhood, and important. And because it's a significant safety factor, it comes under the purview of the city of Lafayette. The city of Lafayette has an interest in this. That's all I want to say. Any questions?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Clark. Any questions for the speaker? All right, Mr. Clark, thank you very much for your comments tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, we have,
Next public comment.
as of right now, we have 2 more speakers. The next speaker is Stacy Epstein, followed by Eric Peterson.
Okay.
So, Miss Epstein. Oh, we got a whole bunch more. Just letting you know.
Okay, hello. I'm trying to start my video. There we go.
There you go. Hello, welcome.
Thank you for having us. I also sent a letter, and I also saw that it didn't make it to this meeting. So I think some of our letters are going to some other meeting. So again, we should maybe check on that. I won't go into all of my points in my letter, just a few points. It was implied that kids aren't using the path to go to school, which was frustrating to me. It's been almost a rite of passage to let our kids go take that path on their own and give them that independent experience of walking or riding their bikes to school like this little one does. We were just talking about hybrid school starting again and getting some groups to be able to go. Sending them down to Deer Hill Road to walk up is just not something I would consider doing. I don't consider it safe. Also very concerned about escape routes. We had a utility fire, you guys may know, a few weeks back. Our road was closed for several hours. Very frightening time for us living where we live. We're in a very high fire risk area. And to me, closing any evacuation route at this time induces panic in me. I could even argue that maybe we should turn that back into a road that's accessible by cars, even if it's just in the case of emergency, but I won't push my luck right now. I also understand that there was that in 2000, when that property was split into two, it was a condition of that subdivision that the easement stay open. And somehow that didn't make its way to the two separate properties. So to me, that seems like a legal complexity that or even a clerical complexity that should be easily fixed. It is very well used by us. Final point, people walk down my street all day, every day. Unfortunately, sometimes there's poop. Sometimes, I mean, we had our mailbox vandalized. We've had a car broken into. I think if each of you took the time to walk through that path, you would see that nobody's walking any closer to that house than they are to all of our houses. It's a pandemic. People are walking. I have found this community to be nothing but friendly and welcoming, and we have videos and we all band together when problems happen. And I know that if you choose to leave this easement open, we will rally around the Veshies and we will, as a neighborhood, make sure that path is safe for them and with them. So I would love for you to give us the opportunity to show that consideration to them and show them that we would love to welcome them to our neighborhood.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Any questions for the speaker? All right. Ms. Epstein and family, thank you very much for your time tonight.
Okay, your next speaker is Eric Peterson, followed by Amy Peterson. So, Mr. Peterson, you are muted and you don't have video, but you can go ahead. There you go.
Other than that, I'm in good shape. Hello?
Hello, welcome.
Hi. Oh, I have to do gallery view. Sorry. Switch to gallery. Yeah, hi. I'm here and I'm joined with my wife, who's also raised her hand. So we've sent a letter as well, and have lived in the Glen for 26 years. My wife actually lived here before, and her father still lives across the street. So she has a long history that she can address. I think one of my concerns is that, you know, it seems like this was a clerical error that at the time of the subdivision of that lot. And the concern I want to voice is that this seems like this is an opportunity for the city to do the right thing for our neighborhood. And I'm concerned that the decision was reached and the recommendation was made to just cave to the Veshies just because they hired a lawyer and sued the city. Just the city wanted to avoid legal expenses. That's what the city is supposed to do, is fight for its citizens. So I hope you'll consider that, you know, greatly when you review this case. We've been using this path ever since we've been here for 26 years. So I'll let my wife speak. So that will.
Hi. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Oops, I'm gonna switch seats here. I moved here actually in 1971 with my family, and I learned how to ride a bike in the dips. I roller skated in the dips because it's the only flat, safe area in this community. Like Stacy Epstein mentioned, it was really a rite of passage to be able to ride your bike to school. And my parents, even in those days where there was lots of horses still out and about in Lafayette, would not let me go to Deer Hill Road. So I cut through the dips. there's another thing about the dips. We had, the community was involved in the dips. There were blackberries that were planted all along the dips. And every year in August, we would all come with a little basket from the neighborhood and pick blackberries. My children did this. I know other families have probably within the last few years enjoyed that too. So it's near and dear to my heart. It's a part of my life. It's always been there. I've always used it. Now, I mean, I hike probably 5 days a week and I cut through there to head up to Happy Valley. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know how I've used it. And, everybody else has mentioned how important it is for these kids. I believe, these children, it's not safe for them to go to Deer Hill Road. So I hope to goodness we can keep it open and let them walk to school safely and ride their bikes safely. And thank you. I just appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you both for your comments. Are there any questions for the speakers? All right. Petersons, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, the next speaker we have is Doug Flett, followed by Tom McLeod. So Mr. Flett, you're here, but you're muted. There you go.
I just unmuted, I think.
Yeah,
you're unmuted, but we can't see you.
Oh, well, start the video.
There you go.
Okay.
Very good.
Yes. I was glad to hear Amy Peterson talking about long-time use. My wife was good friends with the Tullocks, and she's moved here in 1953. We built our house here in 37 years ago. We've been using that right-of-way for that period of time. Before you make a decision on this, I think there's a couple other pieces of information that you should look at. There's a 1935 record of survey which identifies this particular easement and indicates that in 1926 an easement was granted to the Ravazzo property. I call it the Ravazzo Ranch, and that easement connected with a roadway which served the entire Glen and North Thompson Road area. So it's been almost 100 years. It's been a road. You should look at the 1979 assessor's map. In 1979, the road from Happy Valley Road to Glen Road was identified as a separately assessed parcel. And what happened with the subdivision in 2000 was that they wanted to subdivide the property that is now owned by the Vessies and whoever's building that house there. They wanted to subdivide that in 2 lots, but they didn't have enough area to do so legally. And as a condition of granting the subdivision, the city said, okay, you can have your 2 lots. We'll let you have the second lot, but you have to provide pedestrian access over this road, which has been there for many, many years. And as a condition of approval, they accepted that and they got a buildable lot. Without that pedestrian easement, I'm not sure that they have a buildable lot. I don't know whether I'm not an attorney. I don't understand that kind of thing. So, but I think you ought to take that into consideration. So look at the 1935 record of survey. Look at the assessor's map from 1979, and you'll see that this right-of-way has been a separate entity all of its own for that period of time. And an easement was granted on the map that they approved in 2000. There are 14 easements. Now because the county recorder's office is closed because of COVID, I can't get the copies of easements. But I think you should get all those easements and see where those properties are. And what you'll find out, I think, is that they're scattered around throughout the entire Glen Road area. And you've got people who have some people who have the legal right by virtue of easement. And then I think there's a possibility that since easements run with the land, that the easement that was granted in 1926 for the Ravazzo Ranch includes,
Time is up.
lots
Mr.
of
Fletcher, you
area.
need to wrap up.
Okay, I just think that it's affects a wider group than what you're considering.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions for the speaker? Mr. Flett, thank you for your comments tonight.
Okay, the last person who's raised their hand is Tom McLeod. So he should be coming in shortly. There he is. So Mr. McLeod, if you could unmute yourself and turn on your video if you like. Okay, so I'm gonna, okay, there you go.
Okay, I think I'm
Welcome.
on.
Yep,
Thank
you're
you.
on.
Okay, great. Thanks for letting us have comments, and thanks for your consideration on this. My wife and I are 12-year residents of the Glen and raising 4 kids. And one consideration I'd like to drill down on specifically is, yes, the traffic on Oak Hill Road is dangerous at minimum, but specifically the cross at Thompson Road between Oak Hill and Happy Valley is by far the most dangerous way to cross the road because it doesn't have a stop sign. And any resident in the Glen who commutes or uses BART can concur that they've probably had a harrowing incident when crossing that crosswalk. Specifically, I know for a period of time, the warning lights when crossing weren't working for a period of time. But moreover, many of these driving apps that are informing people who are commuting are redirecting them from 24 through surface streets. And unfortunately, Deer Hill Road has become a very popular surface street for people avoiding 24. And many of them are not local residents. So they have zero consideration for driving fast. And specifically, they don't know about the Thompson crosswalk, the Thompson Road crosswalk. So 2 things. One is we have 4 children and we expressly encourage them never to use that crosswalk because of its danger. If you, any of the residents will know, the westbound lane on Oak Hill Road Deer Hill Road between Oak Hill and Thompson is a downhill, and people speed down that. Secondly, so my request is this. As you deliberate this, I would encourage you to look for any incidents related to pedestrians or traffic incidents in between Happy Valley Road and Oak Hill Road on Deer Hill, because that's the most dangerous crosswalk. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Mr. McLeod, thank you. Any questions for the speaker? Mr. McLeod, thank you for your comments tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr.
Next
Mayor, we
public
have, at this point, we do have 2 more. We have next up Melissa Sherman, followed by Carla Hauser.
Okay.
So here comes Ms. Sherman. Ms. Sherman, you're in. If you want to unmute yourself and turn on the camera.
Hi.
Welcome. Hello.
Can everyone see me and hear me?
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. And thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to have a voice with this decision. We really appreciate it. So my husband and I and 2 kids actually just moved to the neighborhood in August, and we happen to be on Glen Court, which I feel is part of very close to the conversation or the road that we're talking about, the dips. I find it concerning because one of the biggest things and reasons why we moved into this community is because of the easy way to get to school and navigate to school. And even hearing the most recent comment about the danger, right, of having our kids have to, quote unquote, ride their bike potentially going down North Thompson and Deer Hill, it's pretty overwhelming. And I'm disappointed in the sense that it seems like our neighborhood and the community wants to keep it open. And there might be a handful of families that want to close it off. And I feel as if it's pretty emotional right now because there's a lot of kids in our community, a lot of kids in this neighborhood that happen to use that passage to go to school. And, I'm hoping that you guys really do keep that in consideration, because God forbid if something happens to one of those children, because another small group of people wanted to close that easement down. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the speaker? Ms. Sherman, thank you for your time. We appreciate your comments.
Okay, we have one more speaker, at least right now. That's Carla Hauser. And here comes Ms. Hauser. So Ms. Hauser, you're in. There you go.
Okay, sorry. It clicked me out right when I was going to say something. Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you for allowing us this time to have some comments. A lot of people have already covered some of the things that I wanted to say. I did send in a letter to the mayor and vice mayor and council members. I'm also a longtime resident. I grew up here. We actually bought our home on Monticello in 1960. So I grew up with the Dips as well and have moved back to care for my mother, who's 89, who's still living in the same house I grew up in. So I guess many people have covered the, historical walking to Happy Valley using the Dips. So I can reiterate that. But I'm coming into this late, not knowing all the details as to why they were initially granted this ability to close it off. And one thing I read, I guess this is my only point I'm going to make, is that there was some mention of nuisances on the pathway. And I just wanted to add that, I run, I hike, I go through that area probably 4 or 5 times a week. And there was some mention of dog poop. I don't know, but for me personally, I've never seen an illegal car parked, anybody that looks like they shouldn't be there, any garbage, I have never in my life living here seen anything that I would consider a nuisance on that pathway. Just a neighborhood using it as a wonderful pass through for kids, for jogging, for biking, etc. So if that was something that was, and I may be wrong, but I heard that was one of the things they used as a reason to cut it off, I would strongly suggest that that's not the case. Thank you, and I'll be back on the 9th.
And Ms. Hauser, thank you for your comments. Any questions for the speaker? Okay, we will be talking about this on the 9th, so we'll see you then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that
Any other
was
public comment?
that was the last public comment that I could see right now. I'd have no hands raised.
Okay, well, if that's the case, then we will close the public comments and go into closed session with the intention of trying to get back out for open session at 7 o'clock. So council members will go to closed session and we'll be back at 7 in open session.
Hey, everyone, council is still in closed session. They went in around 6:30, so hopefully they will be back shortly. So just hang in there. Thank you. everyone, we're still waiting for the council to come back for their closed session. Keep holding on, and hopefully the city council meeting will start shortly. Thank you for your patience. Hello, everyone. City Council is still in closed session. Hopefully they will resume shortly, so please continue to be patient. Thank you.
Okay, we are out of closed session and back into open session. We're sorry for being a little bit late. Reporting from closed session, we have no reportable action and gave direction to staff. So with that, we'll move on to our open session, beginning with public comments from the public on items that are not on our agenda, but within the purview of the city of Lafayette. So do we have any public comments tonight?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I do have a public comment from Don Wachlet. Oh, and also one from Robert LeBron. I'm going to be letting Mr. Wachlet in now.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Wachlet, you're in if you want to unmute yourself and start your video. Okay, you're unmuted, but we cannot see you. Mr. Wachlet?
I'm on board. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
I actually don't have much more to say than what I put in my statement, which if you've already read it, I think there's opportunities to compensate for any problems associated with the dips, and at least to the homeowners around there. And I think we can probably, just by simply using technology, common sense, and collective cooperation, do a lot to improve the situation. I don't see any benefit by closing it off. In particular, I'm really concerned about the danger associated with wildfires. That was the last alternative exit from the neighborhood, whereas there used to be at least 3, if not 4. And so we're down to North Thompson as the only way you can get out of the neighborhood. So from a public safety point of view, I think it's very important to keep it open. But I also think there's alternative ways to deal with the situation. I don't see that passageway has been designated for any other use but the service of the community. It's been that way for tens of years. I am not totally familiar with the easement issue, but I've been told by others who are in part involved with the easements that those easements are reasonably collaborative in the sense that they offer options for the community to pass without doing any harm to the residents. So that's my primary input at this point. But if I can, when I speak of technology, I speak of video cameras, which the Glen has ample supply. We have now 20 cameras about the Glen. All have been updated in the last couple of months. And we probably have the most sophisticated surveillance capability of anyone in the neighborhood or anyone in Lafayette. So we're glad to share what we know about that. We're glad to bring more of that to this particular situation and try to, come to a collaborative conclusion.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Walker. Are there any questions for the speaker? Okay, thank you very much for your public comment. We appreciate that. Next public comment.
Next public comment is from Robert. Where did he go? Robert LeBron. He should be coming in shortly. Okay, Mr. LeBron, you're in. If you could unmute yourself and start your camera if you want to. Yeah, and you're there. You go.
Hello, this is Robert LeBron.
Welcome.
Hi, I just wanted to give a simple thank you to Mark Ramsey and Tom Gill of the police. I had requested for them to help me get a fence moved that was blocking the walkway on Lafayette Circle. It was causing you to walk into the street, but they were very kind. And within 2 or 3 days, they had it fixed. They had the developer help fix it. And now you can walk on the walkway instead of the street. And, you know, it's a simple thing, but I really appreciate it. Joanne also helped. And, you know, it's part of why living in Lafayette is so wonderful, that if you know how to, you know, call on the city, you get immediate response and immediate satisfaction. So I just want to extend my thanks. And it's a great city to walk. I've been walking a lot lately, and that just made it more safe and more effective to walk downtown. Thanks again to Mark and Tom. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mr. LeBron. We appreciate you appreciating the staff we appreciate so much.
Great, thank you.
Any question for the speaker? Thank you very much. Other public comments?
Yes, I have 2 hands up. The first is Susan Loria, followed by Marianne Hoisington. So Ms. Loria should be coming in. There she is. If you could unmute yourself and start your video if you so choose. Ms. Loria.
Mute. I found it.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
We
can hear
can.
you.
Welcome.
We can't see you though.
That's all right. I'm not looking so good. But I will try. I'm just raising a comment that we have Jenny Rosen from the Public Art Committee. I'm Susan Loria, current chairman of PAC. And Jenny's on board to give a staff presentation, but she hasn't been able to get back into the meeting. So I'm just requesting that someone give her a little technical assistance to take care of it. You are all so much savvier than I, and I appreciate all your help. Thank you.
Okay, so not so much a public comment as a request. So
there you go. I'm sorry,
can,
but it seemed like the time to do it.
That's fine. That's perfectly fine. Joanne, you can maybe help. She's nodding her head.
You know what?
Thank you.
I will just say, as long as we're on, Jennifer Wakeman is also having difficulty logging onto the meeting. So I am not sure what's going on because clearly there are people here. So I don't know if it is, I don't know if it's a situation with their own computers or what, but we'll try to see what we can do on this end. I have next raised hand was Marianne Hoisington, and I also have a request after that for Councilmember Burks. So I'm going to bring Ms. Hoisington in, and then after that, Councilmember Burks. So Marianne, you are in. If you want to unmute yourself, turn on your video if you want to.
Okay, there we go. I'm taking your time tonight as your library commissioner to bring you up to date just a little bit about what's going on at the county library. As you know, our former librarian, Melanda Cervantes, resigned. Well, actually, she retired in October, and the county administrator appointed her deputy, Allison McKee, to serve in her place. And well, the search is going on for a new librarian. And that will probably take until about January. We're not quite sure yet. Allison has been with our organization in our county since 2002, and she's highly regarded by the people with whom she works. The Friends of the Lafayette Library first met her some years ago when she was actually librarian of Juvenile Hall. She came to our annual meeting and talked to us there, and we were charmed by her. And we offered her books from our little corner bookshop to help enhance her library out at Juvenile Hall. And so we've had good relationships with her, and we're pleased that she's doing this in the interim, and we're not sure what's going to happen. A little sidelight that I want to tell you about Juvenile Hall that doesn't have to do with today, I'm sorry, I don't think, but it was in the past. And there was a gentleman from Lafayette whose name is James Benny. And he would go to Juvenile Hall and read to the young people at night as they were in bed. And he did it by over the loudspeaker system. And I can't think that those children, many of them, had ever been read to in bed before. I hope somebody's still doing that, but I don't know. So thank you for your time tonight.
Ms. Osington, thank you for all of your work on the Library Commission. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. Other public comments?
So I believe Councilmember Burks has a comment.
I do. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say that tonight I am thinking very deeply of Mark Mitchell, our former council member, who passed away 2 years ago to this week on November 5th, 2018. As the community knows, former Mayor Mitchell and Councilmember Mitchell, I think I speak for a lot of people, loved Lafayette more than anyone I had ever met, and was a mentor to me and somebody who I think of often, especially before I make decisions on votes. He taught me a lot, and his term would be up, and he would either be running for re-election tomorrow or not. So this week, with a really heavy heart, he's in my mind and in my heart, and his entire family is as well. So I just wanted to say that tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Burks. We appreciate that. It may be fitting for us to adjourn in memory of Mr. Mitchell, Councilmember Mitchell, Mayor Mitchell. We'll come to that at the end of our session.
Thank you.
Other public comments?
So there are no other public comments. I will let you know we've lost connection. A number of people who were supposed to participate. Apparently City Hall's lost connection. So we lost our city clerk, and we have lost some potential people who were going to speak on some items. So I just wanted to warn you about that. They're going to maybe try to connect via their phones. I do not know what is going on. It was a full moon on Saturday, not tonight. So.
Okay, well, then it may not be the moon. So we have consent calendar next. Let's try to get through that, and then we'll just see what we have in terms of folks being available. Okay. So let's move to the consent calendar. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I don't know if you closed. I did have a hand raised now. I don't know if it's for public comment or not. Do you want to go back, or?
I'm happy to go back to public comment if that's what the hand is raised for.
Okay, so I have a hand raised. I'm assuming that's for public comment. I just saw it. We were trying to deal with these technical issues. This is Lori McLeod. So Ms. McLeod, you are on. If you want to unmute yourself, there you go. And if you would like to turn your camera on.
Hi, this is actually Tom McLeod, Lori's husband. And after I made a comment, I was disconnected and I wasn't able to get back on. So some of the participants that might be trying to get back on, it could be the case that you need to allow them to get on. So any of those people that made comments, you might have disconnected from re-entering the meeting.
Okay, I don't quite understand how that fits what we're doing here. Tracy, does that help you understand what we need to do?
Not really, to be honest with you. I haven't taken anybody out, but we do have fewer attendees than we had before. And I have had reports from people both at City Hall and people obviously from outside who were trying to connect. I don't know if it's an issue with the Zoom or it is not. So,
Mr. McLeod, thank you for your comment. We appreciate that.
We can try to go forward. I know that there are, let me just check. Let's just see who's available for the next item. So for the next item, we do, I believe, have the people available that need to speak on that item so we can go forward with that. To be honest with you, I'm filling in for Jeff. I don't know what the protocol is. I don't know that we can end this meeting and start again. I think that would actually
Well, I was going
mess
to
things
ask
up
the city
further.
attorney that question. Hi, Amanda.
Good evening.
Good evening. Okay, so we seem to be having some technical difficulties. My concern is the public may not be able to actually enter into this meeting freely. So do you have any advice about how we proceed?
You know, I was just wondering what the best course would be if the council should take the items that it can and see if the technical issues can be resolved. And then if certain items need to be continued, take that action when we get there.
Okay, that sounds like a question, not a recommendation. All right, sounds good.
So I do have one more person with their hand up. I don't know if they could, I don't know if they're
Okay.
some kind of technical wizard, but I'll let them speak. My suggestion would be specifically to allow the next item because I believe there is some time pressure on it and the people who need to speak on it are in fact on the meeting. So let me let this person in, Ms. Carla Hauser, to see what she has to say if it's a public comment. And then I suggest that you proceed at least with 10A because I know there's some time pressure on that.
I understand. Okay, let's see what
Okay,
Ms.
so
Hauser has to say.
I'm going to allow Ms. Hauser in. Maybe she has a magic potion.
Ms. Hauser already spoke.
Yes, I know that. But
She
she
did,
may-
but she
may
raised
wanna
her
speak
hand
on
again,
something else.
so it might be a different item.
Sure.
So Ms. Hauser, you're on if you would like to unmute yourself and.
Okay, I think I'm here. Yes.
Yes, you are.
Just a very quick comment to add on to what the other person said. After I made my comment earlier, I was also disconnected from the meeting. It said you were previously removed by the host and it would not let me continue with the meeting. So just to
Okay.
let you know, I think anyone that spoke was for some reason removed from the meeting and we couldn't get back in. So.
Okay,
That's-
but
So
you did
that
get back in.
is- Well, I'm
Okay,
on my
so-
phone now. Now I'm on my
Ah,
phone and for some reason
okay.
it let me log in on my phone.
Okay.
But on my computer, eventually after your closed session, I got back in. But anyway, I just want to let you know for future meetings, because it was very frustrating that I couldn't hear after my comment. I was gone and I kept getting the message previously removed by host, so you cannot enter the meeting. So
Okay.
anyway, for what it's worth, I don't have any solution. Just letting you know.
Okay, we
So
appreciate that a lot.
All right, thank you.
That's a good, thank you. So I'm gonna put you back where I think you should be, which is change role to attendee. So Joanne Robbins and I were sharing duties. She was escorting people out. I was bringing people in. So I don't know if something happened where remove versus just putting them back as an attendee happened. But we do have other people that didn't speak that aren't able to get back in, so.
Okay, so why don't we take a shot at the consent calendar, at least see if the council wants to move on the consent calendar, and then we'll take a look at the rest of the agenda. So item 9 is our consent calendar. Are there any items that council members would like to remove from the consent calendar? Okay, Councilmember Bliss, you okay? All right. So I'd be happy to entertain a motion on the consent calendar. Yes, Councilmember Geringer.
Oh, I'm happy to make a motion, but do we need to ask if any of the attendees or anyone in the public?
Very good point. I just kind of move along.
Okay.
Okay, so do we have any public comment, Tracy, on the consent calendar?
I do see one hand raised. The name is Have. I'm going to promote this person to panelist. So you are in now. There you are.
Welcome.
Hello. Welcome. Thank you. So I haven't joined the meeting before. I'm Kaveh. Is this appropriate for me to comment on the agenda 9C?
9C, okay. So basically then you would like to have that taken off the consent calendar.
Oh, no. Oh, yes. I'm kind of new to all this. I'd like to submit a public comment when the time's appropriate. That was what I was trying to do.
Okay, no, so let me just explain. So the consent calendar, these are items that we consider routine that we will simply pass without comment. So if you support the recommendation, then you don't need to make a comment because we would pass it. But if you are concerned about it, we will pull it off and then we'll put it back on the agenda later, and then we'll have a discussion and you can comment on it then. So do you support the recommendation?
I do. I would recommend other things in addition to it, but as it is, yeah, I support it.
Okay, so then I would suggest that we will pass this item as a consent calendar item. And in public comment, I guess you could have made a comment about an item that's not on the agenda, which might have been related to this. You could have said,
yeah.
And we would then have a chance to discuss it. But really, we're only looking for those things that people feel should come off so that there can be discussion because they don't support the recommendation.
Got it. So perhaps what I need to do is, I saw like a link, I could just email my thoughts on it, and
that would be
taken
wonderful.
up by, that's
that
what
would
I'll
be
do.
wonderful. Great.
Great. All right.
Thank you for taking the time, though. I appreciate it very much.
Hey, no problem. It's very interesting to me. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Are there any other public comments on the consent calendar?
I'm sorry. Trying to do a million things because Joanne had to drop off. No, I have no other comments from the public.
I think we just lost.
We've lost the mayor.
Oh.
I'm going to try and reach.
He has his hand up. He's in the attendees. I think. Yeah.
The gremlins are at it again.
All right. That was fun. So, okay, do I have a motion on the consent calendar?
I move that we approve the consent calendar.
That's second.
I'll second.
Okay. Call the question. Councilmember Bliss.
Aye.
Councilmember Burks.
Aye.
Councilmember Geringer.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Kandel.
Aye.
And I'm a yes. So it's unanimous for the consent calendar. We passed the consent calendar. Okay, with that, we'll move on to item 10A. If we have those interested in making this presentation available.
I do have everyone. So I'm going to be bringing in Sarah Allen, Jana Corey, and Clay Fry. So here comes Sarah, Jana, Clay. So where did Sarah go? There she is.
I'm here.
Okay, there you are. Okay, got them all.
Okay, good. Sarah,
Yeah.
you're gonna lead us off?
Yes, yes. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen here and go to presentation mode. Okay. Okay, so we are here today to talk about the Park Theater Trust and opting into the Plaza Way Overlay District. So what is the Plaza Way Overlay District? It's an added layer of zoning that was created in 2012. And it came from a desire to preserve the character of the area that is Plaza Way, where the Park Theater is. That area was built prior to there being vehicles, and so has been historically underparked. And so there was a subcommittee of the City Council, Planning Commission, and the property owners, and developed the regulations, the vision maps, and the design guidelines.
And so the goal, as I mentioned, was to preserve rather than rebuild. So if we applied the traditional parking standards, we would have had to, most developers would have had to demolish the buildings and rebuild a smaller building with a large parking lot. And since there's value in this area, we wanted to avoid that. And so we needed to work through the parking requirements. So the subcommittee realized that there would not be ever the actual required amount of parking, but that through these vision maps and mitigations of parking, that we could increase the number of parking spaces as well as the circulation in the area to improve it, but not bring it fully there. So it'd be better than before, but not fully there. But also we would, in return, receive active storefronts rather than vacant storefronts in this area. So as you probably already know, the Poi family on the corner has opted into the overlay. And so they've executed a similar agreement of what we're discussing this evening. And so these also, this is a representation of the vision maps. There's actually 4 of them, this being the first one and this being the final one. And as you can see, there's sort of individual parking spaces for each of the parcels, somewhat behind the buildings, very few. And in the vision map in the end, the goal is to have sort of this consolidated parking plan in the rear of the buildings. So the Park Theater Trust is a nonprofit entity, and they came to the city and asked to opt into the overlay. It is an optional element, so if you don't want to opt in, you have your underlying zoning. And the council appointed a subcommittee of the City Council and Planning Commission to negotiate the deal points, which are outlined in the regulations. So we met 8 times over the last year. We started in a conference room and ended up in Zoom, but came out with a set of negotiated deal points and a draft agreement, which is attached to the staff report. And so as you can see here in this plan, this gray area is the consolidated parking lot plan, which provides 33 parking spaces. And so just to highlight kind of the major elements of the agreement is that the Park Theater Trust constructs the parking. They provide access and parking easements so that the parking becomes open and available to the public. They're investing in the building facade to make sure that they maintain the park marquee and kind of that historic character of the building. They have agreed to accommodate a creekside trail in the back as called for in the Creeks plan, and also transportation demand management elements for their employees. And then the city would be providing funds for that public parking, and those funds are coming from the Plaza Way Overlay Parking Fund, which portion of that was contributed by the Poi family when they opted in. Since they were providing significantly less parking, they actually paid into the fund. And then also the parking meters along Plaza Way and some of Golden Gateway go into that area as well. The city would also be taking over operation and maintenance, as it would be public parking, and then the adjusted parking requirements and also allocation of parking on the street, and then the parking that was sort of removed with the construction of Plaza Park. So as noted in the staff report, this opting into the overlay is consistent with the general plan, the downtown specific plan, the Plaza Way Overlay District, the downtown parking strategy, and then also it's consistent with the outcome of the community conversations, where the community was very adamant about preserving the Park Theater and wanting to see an active use there. So also mentioned in the staff report, the Park Theater Trust does not currently own the property. And so we can't actually execute an agreement with them at this time. But by having a letter, there is acknowledging the negotiations that have been done so far. It would allow them to begin fundraising so that they can, in fact, purchase the property. So that's what is being asked of the council this evening, is to authorize the mayor to sign the letter that's draft letter that's attached to the staff report that acknowledges those negotiations and allow them to begin fundraising. And I know Jana is here, and so I'll stop sharing here if she wanted to say a few words, but otherwise I'm available for questions.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Well, first of all, I want to acknowledge the tremendous support the city has given us. Each one of you in various forms have really supported the effort of the Park Theater Trust, and we really, really are grateful for that. In particular, I've called Teresa like 500 times and asked for advice about various things. So as our liaison, I really want to express my appreciation. And certainly the subcommittee has done a great job. Thorny problems came up and we really dug in on them. Stephen and Teresa on the committee, and then the planning commissioners, Stephen Labange and Gary Heising. So the committee really worked hard on, digging in deep on some of the more controversial items, but it was a pretty cordial and successful negotiation. And Sarah, I have to acknowledge your sort of bringing herding the cats, as they say. So really appreciate that. And we've had great support. I do have to say, everybody at the city that we've called on for help has just been extraordinarily supportive. And as Sarah pointed out, we are now a formal nonprofit, and we are eager to begin fundraising. I will tell you, everybody we talked to at last year's Art and Wine and other outreach we do, everybody, first thing they ask is, what about the parking? So this letter tonight is going to be hugely beneficial in terms of having something in hand that says the city is supportive of the parking proposal that we have. And you may or may not know, we did have a deal. We were under contract with an angel investor earlier in the year, under contract for the theater. He was going to make the purchase and then turn it over to us when we had the funds available. Unfortunately, with COVID, he had to pull out. And so we were due to close on May 1st. We were running as hard as we could toward May 1st to close the deal. So anyway, we know what that looks like and we know how to do it. And we're eager to get back in again with the sellers. So this will help us secure our operator. We have some ideas about that. It will assist with the fundraising, and it'll remove a hurdle. The sellers are kind of reluctant to talk to us until we have something in hand. And this is going to help us progress the conversation with the sellers. So I encourage you to agree and vote yes. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Janet. We appreciate all the work you put into this. I don't know if Councilmember Bliss or Carringer have any comments as subcommittee members.
I would echo all of the thanks and appreciation. Sarah has led us through the process, and after 8 meetings and going through every sort of piece of this, the deal points and the letter of intent, I'm hopeful that following questions, of course, that the council will support this. I also want to thank Jana's partners and architect Clay Fry, who, I think many of us know Clay, and Clay was also very helpful in working with us and working with Sarah to make it to this point. So.
I will, if I might, Clay is on the phone if you have questions for him, and a couple of our other board members are also listening in.
Okay. Councilmember Bliss, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, just to briefly echo the thanks from Councilmember Geringer. The subcommittee, it was a lot of work and a lot of digging into details. And the thing that I just want to acknowledge of Jana and Clay, the rest of their team, is that, there's a trajectory on these sort of committees where you sort of, over the course of time, we start to get into the deal points and what the city is going to get and give, and what the Park Theater is going to get and give, that you really have to drill down to the details in a way where both sides are, being mindful of what's in their organization's best interest, but also with a commitment more towards trying to make the process work and to really put the overlay district policy tool to work. And so I really appreciated the sort of solutions oriented focus of the subcommittee as a whole. And for that, I want to thank staff, a number of staff, but in particular, Sarah has of course been putting in a lot of work on getting this to where it is. So just thanks and appreciation for all the work that's gone into this so far.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
may I
Go
just add one more thing? In the other groups of people who were at the table, including at the virtual table with our Zoom, were the members of the Wayside Inn and other property owners throughout the process who came in to provide input and ask questions. So there was stakeholder and library and town hall, anyway, a number, not town hall theater at this point, but a number of the stakeholders and businesses surrounding the Park Theater were involved in the process.
Okay. Are there questions from the council members? Vice Mayor Kandel?
Oh, yeah, I think Cam had his hand up first, though.
Well, you went off mute first, so I recognize that.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So this is great. Thank you very much. The only question I have, I think, is a little bit of a technical thing to help me understand in this report. I understand the cost. You guys nailed out the cost, but in attachment B and in our staff report here, it's on page something like 27 of 76. So what the city of Lafayette is going to give, the first thing is a contribution of the overlay district parking funds to construct the parking. I understand that you've nailed that out very, very well. But 2 items down from that is the parking reduction of 26 spaces. And you base on city parking calculation of $19,200 to buy out per space. And that's $500,000. And I think that just kind of means, it would mean that the city would be paying the city that money. And so it doesn't really happen. I just want some clarification on that. Is that how you understand it?
So yeah, that amount is something, so we would charge a developer if they weren't able to provide the parking, we would charge them that much, which is commensurate with how much it costs to construct parking.
So we're like basically waiving that fee. We're not actually paying that fee.
Correct.
Okay, it would be nice because I think that made me confused and maybe change the wording in there. It's like we're giving the waiver of that rather than we're paying. Cool. Otherwise, looks very good.
Okay, Councilmember Burks.
Yeah, just a question, and I'm been on the record and spoke with the group. It's been a while, but want to see this happen more than, or as much as everybody. I think it would be great for our town, and I am fully supportive and compliment Shannon, Stephen, and Teresa, and everybody for their efforts. This is a question for Amanda, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot, Amanda, but and it is a technical question, but I do think it's worth asking. Is it appropriate to take a municipal action such as this to enable fundraising for a nonprofit organization, or does it present any exposure or conflicts for the city, or could it down the road?
Well, my understanding is that the agreement or the letter is structured in a way that it's not binding, and it wouldn't tie the hand, so to speak, of a future council to deny the project or deny what the development that eventually comes from this. So I don't think it's inappropriate for the council to take this action.
Okay, that was my concern, was if a future council, or if the council at the end of the day were to not approve the application for whatever the project, this would come back to haunt us. So I just wanted to clarify, and you just did, which is great, and I am fully supportive of this. I think it's great. Thank you.
Okay, well, Sarah, I just had one question, and I guess it's on the parking that you put on the screen, the parking that's going to come out of this project. Is it allow for a connection to the existing parking that's on the east side of the theater, or is it a separate parking area?
So that is actually owned by a different property owner. And so in order to make that connection happen, we'd need their involvement and agreement. But the easement over the Park Theater parcel would allow for that to happen. So it's one piece of the puzzle as we move forward.
Okay, so have we approached the owner about any value of connecting these two together now as opposed to some future time?
The Serenians were part of the original Plaza overlay discussions. And so I think they know and understand, but they have not yet opted in or decided to opt in.
Okay, all right. So we're keeping an eye on them, but okay, we haven't forgotten about them, I suppose. Is there going to be a fence between the two parking areas?
There is currently a fence, and there's also quite a little bit of a grade change as well. And so we would need to, there would definitely need to be a cooperative agreement. And also I think some of the parking spaces actually abut the fence. And so in order for that the easement to actually happen, there would need to be a reconfiguration of that parking lot.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of wondering if it made sense to try to put the two together now as opposed to later, but okay, you've got it under control, fine. Do we have any public comments on this item? Tracy?
I do not see any public comment.
Okay. Well, Councilmember Bliss?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Anderson. I just had a question for, I think this would be for Sarah. Just it regards the public comment that came in and was provided in our agenda materials that came in from David Clark. You know, he makes a point that we actually had talked about early on in the subcommittee in terms of the interface of this parcel with the creek alongside it, and the potential opportunity to have the work and the improvements on this particular parcel kind of connect and integrate with the Creekside plan for the city. And so David, you know, in his comments, which again are in our agenda materials, he had a couple of suggestions about ways to, you know, codify that in this agreement. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on I think we've covered it already, but in the agreement, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on one question of it. In the term sheet, which is, let's see, so Exhibit B, the first page, the access and parking agreement term sheet, it talks about, there is language in there about the trust cooperating with the city in developing a future Creekside Trail on the property. So that's pretty straightforward. The suggestion, I believe, from Mr. Clark was in that third bill to actually codify that there'd be an easement granted, not just for access and for access and parking and for the development of a Creekside Trail. And I just want to get your thoughts, Sarah. Do we need to stipulate that here, or do you think it's sufficient to have the language in bullet 5 that refers to cooperation with the city in the creation of the Creekside Trail? I don't want to introduce new deal points at this stage, obviously, but this is something that we talked about early in terms of the opportunity for this project to help support the Creekside, you know, the Creekside plan and the Creekside Trail for the city. So I just wanted your thoughts on that public comment and whether we needed to do anything to account for it. Thanks.
Sure. So also in the plan that was submitted by the Park Theater Trust, they do outline a creek walk easement along the back here. And you're right, we did talk about it during the meetings. And it's probably my error that it came out. So if you want to just acknowledge that and we can add it back into the deal points, then that's great. I spoke with Jana about it earlier today and she's comfortable with that.
So thank you for that. So all I would be doing is basically, if we went that route. So first of all, I'm comfortable with where everything is, and thanks for clarifying that. It sounds like all we'd be doing is in the language in the deal points is just basically calling out the easement that's already captured in the map that you just showed us. Is that right?
Right.
Is that, I'm kind of looking for your thoughts there. Is that important to do? Is it worth doing, Sarah? Does it not matter? What do you think?
I think it's valuable.
Okay.
Again, this is not, sort of, it's a draft agreement. The agreement will ultimately come back to you if and when it's actually meant to be executed, then, but we can make sure that that's in there when it comes back to you.
And it sounds like there's no concerns from Jana and the trust about that change potentially?
No, we've made that commitment in the meetings.
Okay. Well, then if it's okay, I know it's just a draft agreement and we have a couple steps still to go, but if the council is open to it, I think it might be worth just stipulating that in text in the deal points to call out that easement as well, if that's acceptable to the council.
Okay, well, I think what we're going to do is call for a motion on this, and maybe that can be included in the motion.
Okay, thank you.
So any other questions from council members or comments? Okay, so I think it's time for a motion. Councilmember Bush, you want to put that together, or Councilmember Geringer?
No, Stephen can go.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm happy to, Teresa, although I feel by rights it should be you making the motion, but I'll be happy to.
No, I want to do it. No, you do it. No.
Road rage in Lafayette. No.
Yeah, no, I just want to underscore or just call back to the point that Jana made about the many, the extent to which Teresa's really been, driving, chairing the subcommittee and available to them. So let's see. So I would make a motion then that we authorize the mayor to sign the letter acknowledging the Park Theater Trust desire to opt into the Plaza Way Overlay District and the draft deal points as negotiated with the Plaza Way Overlay Subcommittee, with the change to the text made to reflect that the easement granted by the trust to the city would also be for the purposes of creating a creekside trail.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Excellent. All right, discussion, Vice Mayor Kendall.
Is there any chance that we can add on a modification to have that parking spots say waiver rather than we're paying this money? I just think we're going to make it clearer for people to read as well.
So that's a modification to your motion. Councilmember Bliss, what do you think? You okay with that?
I'll accept that. That's a great modification.
All right.
Thank you.
And to the seconder, Councilmember Geringer,
Yes.
acceptable? Okay, so we've modified the motion to include that change from Vice Mayor Kendall. Other questions, comments on the motion?
Mayor Anderson, I have
Yes,
a
yes.
hand raised. I don't know if it's on this item or not. It's hard for me to tell.
Okay,
This is someone who's actually supposed to speak on the next item, but do you want me to?
please do ask if they are raising their hands. They may want to say something.
Okay, I'm gonna let him in.
Okay,
So here comes Joe Bologna.
does he want to do the art for the?
Well, yeah, maybe. Mr. Bologna, you're on. If you wanna, I'm gonna unmute you. Oh, what happened? There you are. Oh, you're muted and you were there and now you're gone. Okay, I've unmuted you and we can see if you want to speak. Go ahead.
I'm just giving you a report from Jenny Rosen, and I wanted to do that when you were done with this item. And she has a theory on why she can't get back into your meeting, as well as a number of other staff members. So I'll just hold until this item's done.
Okay, fair enough. Any other raised hands or public comments quickly? Tracy?
I see no other raised hands. Sorry about that.
Okay.
No.
All right, so let's call the question on the motion. Councilmember Bliss,
Aye.
Councilmember Burks,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Kendall,
Aye.
Councilmember Geringer,
Aye.
and I'm a yes, it's unanimous. So well done. Thanks to the subcommittee, all of you, great work. And one step closer to having the Park Theater. Yay!
Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Great work.
There's
Well done.
sharing going on in a lot of houses right now, I'm telling you.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's good. Okay. Well, thank you all. All right. With that, if it's possible, we'll move to item 11A. Is Jennifer Wakeman available to us? Did she make it
So
back in?
she is not available. She is one of the ones that's having some issues connecting. So Jennifer worked really hard for this. So I would respectfully request that maybe we just continue this to the next council meeting so that she can be here, because she really deserves to be able to present this herself.
Okay. Then is there any interest in continuing this item to the next agenda from council members?
I would move that we continue the item to our next council meeting, date certain, November 9th.
Excellent.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion, questions? Call the question. Councilmember Bliss?
Aye.
Councilmember Burks?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Kandel?
Aye.
Councilmember Geringer?
Aye.
And myself is a yes, so it's unanimous. We'll move this item, continue it to next meeting on November 9th. I guess, were there any public comments on this item by any chance?
I don't see any hands raised now.
Excellent. Okay, so we did okay there. All right,
Hey,
item
Mike?
11B. Yes.
Mike, we ought to maybe talk to Joe and see what Jenny's theory on people, because she's coming up on this next one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we can't get, I don't want to jump the gun on the next item, but we don't have several people who need to potentially be on the next item, so we can
Well, I
talk to
think we
Mr.
may-
Bologna.
Yes, that would be great. Under 11B, let's have a conversation about where is everybody? What happened?
I'm on my cell phone getting texts from Jenny Rosen right now, and she said that since Yuki is available, that she could do the presentation for the on behalf of the city, if that pleases you.
Okay, so that would be fine as far as I can tell. Are you comfortable with that?
I think
So I will
Okay.
just tell you that neither Jenny, who is the staff, nor Susan Loria, who is the chair, are available, but Yuki is here, so I can bring her in if you'd like to bring her in and they're comfortable presenting.
And she
that's
is a member of the Public Arts Committee, so.
She is, yes. So let me bring Yuki in and you can discuss this further.
Okay.
Okay, Yuki, you're in. If you want to unmute yourself, there you go.
Welcome.
Hello, I was not expecting to speak.
Well, you're an artist, so you're ready to dance now. Here we go. The music started. You're up.
Well, I'd like to introduce Joe Bologna, and we have approved within Public Arts Committee for the project of the mill on Brown Avenue. And he presented about a month ago with the architect with Branagh Development. And he is proposed what he calls the Bird Row and Friendly Gathering. And it's a bit of a living wall sculpture that lives both on Mount Diablo and Brown Ave. And we are hoping that the City Council will consider this project as approved.
Okay. So we did receive the graphics. So Joe, is there anything you'd like to kind of tell us about the artwork? We have pictures here individually. Any selling points or thoughts or concepts?
I believe we made the case at that presentation to the Art Committee that we've generated this design based on exclusively the criteria of Lafayette's public art program, and ordinance. And the constraints of the site and the character of the site provide for only a few places where we can have artwork that complements the building, complements the city, and stays out of the way of traffic. At the same time, the criteria we were given from the design review committee had been to do everything possible to try to mask the appearance on Brown Avenue of all the meters, electric meters on both buildings. So it fell into place that if we could start the quartet of art pieces on Mount Diablo Boulevard and give the indication that there's maybe something happening here, in this particular case, 2 clusters of birds, one on each sculpture form, that when you turn the corner and start coming up Brown Avenue, then it hits you that, oh my gosh, here's where all the rest of the birds are. And they birds tend to congregate on wires and edges of buildings. So it would be natural that they'd be hanging out on the top of the green screen, working along with the green screen to provide you something nice to look at instead of the utility meters, which of course everybody needs, but nobody wants to look at. That's the inspiration and the theme behind the design. And we've integrated that as close as we can to the design of the building, the public works, all the things that are going on in those spaces between the building and the street, and trying to make it cooperate with that rather than try to stand in front of the building and beg for attention. We're trying to blend in with the building and blend in with the street.
Okay, excellent presentation. Thank you. Questions from council members? Vice Mayor Kandel.
I think that's really super cool because it's kind of functional art, because it does provide a function of screening these things. How deep is that wall? How sometimes meters are really far out. How far away are the meters from? I'm just trying to understand. I'm just trying to visualize it. I think it's really great, but how far out does that living wall come out from the side of the wall? Just help me visualize.
In the closest, in the most narrow part of the site, there's a 5-foot space between the building and the green screen, which is the edge of the sidewalk. The meters themselves, the boxes protrude from the building sometimes as much as 4 inches. On each box, there's the window that you can see the meters spinning around. And I believe that tends to stick out about another 8 inches. So that would leave still another 4 feet of space for the maintenance people and anyone else that needs to get back there and has permission to be able to come around the building without creating a traffic jam and congestion and debris to collect.
Excellent. Thank you. That was exactly what I wanted to know. Thank you. Very nice.
Okay. Other questions from council members? Okay, do we have any public comments on this item? Tracy?
No, I do not see any. Oh, wait, I do have one hand raised, Kaveh.
Okay.
So I'm going to promote him to panelist. So, yes, there you are.
Hey, it's me, Kaveh, again. I just really want to speak about something. But yeah, I love all of the artwork in Lafayette. I walk a lot. I see the mechanical bear. I see the rust sculpture, on the way to BART. I haven't seen this particular art piece, but it sounds awesome. And I just want to say, as more and more art is going to be better for our town. Many of us are walking around because of COVID and this, that, and the other. And little things like that we can see is just going to make it more enjoyable. That's it.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other public comments?
I do not see any other hands raised.
Okay. So we'll bring it back to council. And do we have any motion on this item? Yes, Vice Mayor Kandel.
I'll make a motion that we approve the public art proposal by artist Joe Bologna.
Okay.
Second that.
Do I have a second? I have a second. Any discussion? Call the question. Councilmember Bliss?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Kandel?
Aye.
Councilmember Geringer?
Aye.
Councilmember Burks,
Aye.
and I'm a yes. Great, great idea. Good concept.
That's great.
Should be a lot of fun for everybody. So well done.
Thank you.
So it's unanimous and it's accepted. And Yuki, very well done. Okay. All right, with that, we will move on to public hearings if we can. This is on the establishment of cap on food delivery service fees. Narup, I have you down as this being your item. So are we expecting some people who maybe can't get into the meeting who are going to want to be involved in this conversation, so we should delay? What's your thought?
Mayor, I don't know. I do know that the chamber is interested in this item. In fact, the vice mayor and Jay had a meeting today with the third-party delivery service people. So given that, I don't see anyone in our attendees that resemble members from the chamber. So they may be having difficulties getting in. It's difficult to say whether they have or not.
Understood. Councilmember Burke?
I would, my opinion on this is a very important issue and vote that could impact a lot of people and a lot of revenue. And I mean, I would want, in my opinion, everyone who wants to take part in this to be able to do it. And if there's a question on the technology side, I would say we continue this until next Monday.
Okay. That's a very good point. Other thoughts of council members? I see heads nodding in agreement. Do we have a time sensitivity on this at all?
No, this is your call. It is a policy that you wanted us to draft, and it's before you. So there is there's no deadline, so to speak. I think the intent was to establish this cap so that the restaurants could save more money as a result. But there is no deadline.
Okay, so given the potential technical issues that we're not clear on, I think Councilman Burks has a good point. It may be really better, since it is a public hearing, our actions should be based upon an open public forum, and we don't know if we have one or don't. So any other thoughts about this, or are we feeling like we can vote on it? Vice Mayor Kendall.
Yeah, I mean, I as much as I hate to see the delay, because the comments that were made today were pretty important and they are, somewhat urgent to the restaurants. And so but unfortunately, I think you're absolutely right. And if people can't get in, that's just not right. So I agree.
Okay. Other comments from council members? Do we have any public comment on this item?
I am seeing no public comment, Mayor.
Okay. All right. So Councilmember Brooks, you want to give us a motion and we'll move from there?
So I would move that we continue the item to date certain November 9th.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion? We'll call the question. Vice Mayor Kendall.
Aye.
Councilmember Burks.
Aye.
Councilmember Geringer.
Aye.
Councilmember Bliss.
Aye.
And I'm a yes, so it's unanimous. We will move this item or continue it, the public hearing, to our November 9th meeting. Okay. So with that, we have no items removed from the consent calendar. Okay, council member reports on activities. Any reports? Vice Mayor Kendall.
I just want to let people know that the mayor's meeting that's coming up on Thursday, I did put my name in to be the ABAG representative for the council. Mayor Tom Butt from Richmond is also putting his hat in, and I really think he's a great person and he's very well known in the county. And so we have spoken at length already about this. He is going to term out in 2 years. And so hopefully we'll cooperate with each other. And I'll be making some announcements about, there are now 51 cities in Southern California who've written to appeal to SCAG, which is the Southern California Association of Governments, and HCD, the total allotment numbers. And this, I gave all this information to Mayor Butt, assuming that he probably will be the next ABAG rep. And hopefully he will pursue, and we can have a Northern California and Southern California coalition of concerns based on some very valid claims and analyses that have been done in the meantime. So I just want to let you know that will go down on Thursday.
So Vice Mayor Kendall, I'm wondering, do they have an alternate position for
They
the
do.
representative?
And
So is
I
that
will
something you would consider?
absolutely.
Okay. I mean, I'm not saying that you're not going to get it. I'm just saying there's a fallback.
As a fallback, yes, I would. I would.
Okay.
Oh, 100%. No, Mayor Tom Butt, I think he's great, and he has a lot of support in the county. So he's, yeah.
Good. All right. That sounds really good. Councilmember Burks.
I would just like to commend Vice Mayor Kandel for doing this. And you know, it's a tremendous undertaking, and she has the best interest of our community in mind and the strategic vision and on what needs to be done. And the coalition building piece of this is absolutely critical to the future of our community. So I really just want to thank the Vice Mayor with gratitude.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I think that's shared by all of us, and you haven't even gotten the job yet. That's pretty good. Okay. Other council members' reports on activities, items on future agendas. Okay. Then we'll move to city manager's update.
I have none, Mayor.
Okay, and then we're moving to appointing one member to the Capital Projects Assessment Committee. Councilmember Bliss, you want to handle that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Anderson. So Mayor Anderson and I recently had the opportunity to interview
Lee Thompson.
Yeah, Lee Thompson. I had the name. What I was struggling with there is like interview didn't quite seem the right word. I mean, it was technically an interview, but you know, everybody knows that Lee is you know, just a longtime member of CPAC and just you know, many years of service to the city. And so it was a great conversation, and we had a good discussion about you know, how he's seen CPAC change over the years and his vision for it going forward. And so based on you know, Lee's clear you know, expertise and his commitment to the city and his willingness to remain on the CPAC, Mayor Anderson and I are happy to put forward a recommendation that he be approved to continue on the committee.
Well put. So I'll take that as a motion and I will second it. Any questions from council members? Okay, we'll call the question. Vice Mayor Kandel.
Aye.
Councilmember Geringer.
Aye.
Councilmember Burks.
Aye.
Councilmember Bliss.
Aye.
And I'm a yes, it's unanimous. So Lee Thompson will continue on CPAC. All right, then we'll move to written communications. We have a request from Lynn Cass for a proclamation recognizing November 2020 as National Native American Month in Lafayette. Are there
I'll
any
go
questions?
ahead. No.
Yes?
I was going to make a motion, but sorry.
Please do. Councilmember Burks, go ahead.
I would move the item.
Excellent. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Excellent. Any discussion? Any public comment? Tracy?
Sorry, no, there is no public comment.
Excellent. Okay. So call the question. Vice Mayor Kandel.
Aye.
Councilmember Geringer.
Aye.
Councilmember Burks.
Aye.
Councilmember Bliss.
Aye.
And I'm a yes, it's unanimous. So we'll get that proclamation out. And with that, we are done with our open session agenda. And we'll now go back into closed session.
Mayor, can you give me
Yes.
a few minutes to sign in, and then I'll welcome you in.
Excellent. That sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay. So I know it's not quite an adjournment, but I was just wondering if it makes sense for us to complete our open session with an acknowledgement to the work of Mayor and Council Member, former Council Member and Mayor Mark Mitchell, which Councilmember Burks alluded to. Councilmember Burks, you want to say anything as we move out of public open session into closed session?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I was wondering if we would do it now or wait until we came back. So this is great that all folks are on, but I would, I don't think we need a motion, but I would like to honor Mark Mitchell and his family and tonight associated with this meeting, and wish his family all the best. And again, thank Mark for his service to the community and what he did for so many people for so many years in Lafayette.
And I just say, I think it's very appropriate that we would end our public open session because Mark was such an advocate for the public's position. I mean, that's really where he grounded himself. Tracy, you have a comment?
Yeah, well, since I'm filling in for Jeff, I'm not sure if I need to keep this meeting open until you come back
You do.
in. Maybe
You do.
Amanda,
We have to
yes?
we have to report out.
Okay. So I need, I can, that'll be fun. So I need to just have somebody give me a heads up when somebody comes back in, because I'm gonna basically put my computer, I'll share the screen that you're in closed session, but we're gonna keep this going until we conclude it, so. Okay,
Right.
I
So
just needed
it'll
to
be
be
probably Narup who will get to you with a text.
so
message.
somebody text me.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. So once again, Mitchell family, Mark Mitchell in particular, former mayor, council member, wonderful man, great work, great care for this community. So we'll move on to closed session with recognition of the great work he did. So I would imagine by now we've got a place to land. So we'll go to closed session and report out after we're done. Okay. Oh, you guys did follow me. That's great.
Yes.
Okay, so we are back out of closed session and we have no reportable action on the items on our closed session agenda. With that, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much.